Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana is breathing a heave, a sign of relief after tracing and retrieving over 1,000 missing containers from the Tema port, marking a significant breakthrough in tackling logistics and hurdles that they encountered that have bogged down operations. Now, the managing director, Engineer Julius Pekpena, shared the update with Parliament's Energy Committee, highlighting substantial progress made since May, when many containers seemed lost in limbo. There's more in the following report.
The Parliament Energy Committee has begun day 2 of its 3-day monitoring visit to the agencies here at the Electricity Company of Ghana, where a number of issues have been coming up. Let's begin with the acting managing director of the company, Engineer Julius Pekpena, who in his briefing to the committee indicated a number of things. You will recall that the company suffered severe public backlash when they requested that over 200% increment in the distribution service charge, which is currently with the Public Utility Regulatory Committee for a final decision on that. A large part of the conversation has been for the company to reduce its losses and increase revenue.
We have also implemented a number of initiatives to improve our internal processes. We want to reduce the frustrations applicants face in getting power supply or in getting meters. We know we have some issues in some of the districts and regions, and we are working to resolve that.
Other key major issues in the public domain has been the conversation over missing containers at the port, some ECG contracts, which over 300 of them have been flagged to be defective. He said they have taken some decision on some of those contracts, as well as the contract between the ECG and Haptel with regards to commission payment. They have reduced that from 3% to some 1.65%, as well as being able to trace some 1,000 containers that have been reported missing.
We have started moving our containers from the port. So far, we've moved over 1,000 containers. Again, when we met in May, the news was that we couldn't trace a lot of our containers. I'm happy to say that we have traced all our containers, and we started moving them from the port.
I am James Savaji for JoyNews.
Let's explore this further here on JoyNews Prime. Join me now is Roxanne Richmond. He is spokesperson and head of communications at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. We appreciate your time here on JoyNews Prime. I also have on phone the former managing director of ECG, Dubik Mahama. We appreciate your time here on JoyNews Prime. I'll start with you, Richmond. Roxanne, you say here that you're terminating 202 contracts, which you deem questionable, but that's not all. You flag over 300 contracts under ECG. Tell me more about this and what is influencing this question that you're putting out.
Good evening to you, and good evening to my learned friend, Dubik, and then good evening to your cherished listeners and our viewers as well. When this administration took over, one of the challenges that the Minister for Energy and Green Transition noticed was that there were questionable ECG contracts with various degrees of infractions. The time frame for delivery had long passed, and then what it meant was that they had breached the agreement. So the minister directed a new management to take a look at ECG's contract. Over the period, the management board have gone through a process. What they've done is that they've gone through a comprehensive auditing process, and then some contracts have been terminated or abrogated. reasons are varying. Like I mentioned earlier, some of them are as a result of various degrees of breaches. And this figure, ECG puts it around 300 million United States dollars. And the exercise is still not over. They are going through the process of validating some few contracts left. Depending on what their conclusions will be, I'm sure that the board and management will take the appropriate decision.
But then specifically, why exactly, if you can run me through at least a few of these contracts, why you decided to terminate them?
I've just mentioned that there are various degrees of reasons. Some as a result of non-delivery, others period that were to. In fact, every country, you have one sheet, another obligation.
You may have to position rightly. I can't hear you clearly, but let me bring in Dubik Mahama right now. Whilst you position your line rightly, we've just been hearing from the ministry give us breakdown that they've indeed retrieved some of these missing containers, which your administration, by the way, highlighted was not missing. How do you react to this?
Hello?
Yeah, Dubik, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now. Initially, I couldn't hear you.
I'd like to say a big good evening, and I'd like to say a big thank you to the management and staff of ECG for supporting the ministry and all the state agencies to retrieve all of these containers. If you remember, I said they can only be misplaced and that they are not missing because they are in a safe zone. And I'm glad that gradually, the vindication is coming out. They are finding it, and there's going to be an amicable solution. It's funny we should be having this conversation today because exactly a year ago was when I resigned. That was at the 25th of September. Today is 26th, and we are having this conversation where these all the things that we've been talking about are unraveling. I just pray and hope that we all do our best to support the ministry. We should stop pointing fingers and let's get to an amicable solution because ECG is a great company that needs to be supported to get to the heights that it needs to get to. So we should all just put in our bit and support them. They've retrieved some. I was saying the current managing director said they found it all. The PRO is saying that they retrieved some. Whatever it is, that means gradually, we will get to the conclusion of the matter. And as he also said, it's an exercise that's ongoing. So we should also be patient and assist them in whichever way possible for them to achieve this goal that they are looking, which is to retrieve every container that is stuck in whichever place or to find whichever container that is misplaced.
And as previous manager of the ECG, knowing fully well now that they've been able to recover some of these containers, what measures do you propose they put in place to ensure things like this do not reoccur in the future?
So I think it's all about the fact that the whole silo working should be reduced drastically for all related directorates or departments to be synced properly for everybody to see what's happening and transparency within that regard, so that they can all be comfortable. I think that's just the way to go. Because if the transparency or the synchronization was proper, I'm not sure we would have this distortion about containers being missing or containers being misplaced.
Thank you so much, Dubik Mahama. And then let me just wrap up with Richmond Roxon. We had challenges connecting to you earlier. Just your final words as we wrap up the conversation. But clarify for me, have you retrieved all the containers or some of the containers?
Give me some time to put them in a proper perspective. Okay. When the administration took charge, there was a status report that was provided to the Minister of Energy and Green Transition. The report stated clearly that ECG had 2,491 containers at the port. Upon a visit to the port and various warehouses, the minister noticed that the containers that had been mentioned in the report were less than what he had seen. So he set up a committee. The committee's report was that over 1,300 of these containers could not be found. Subsequently, the Office of the President to the Chief of Staff set up another committee. The committee was able to identify 2,637 containers belonging to ECG, which was way above the number that even the initial committee realized.
Okay.
Subsequently, 2,583 containers were traced at various locations. And what the government has done was that the Chief of Staff has authorized ECG, National Security, and the Port Authority to go through an evacuation process and also take inventory of the containers that are at the port.
Okay.
So, test is still ongoing.
Okay.
As we speak, not all containers have been retrieved.
Okay.
In fact, the truth is that we have found containers that are not on the inventory of ECG. And then we've had containers on the inventory of ECG not accounted for. And so, fortunately, the process is ongoing. And I'm sure that very soon, what will happen is I will give an update. The update that ECG gave today is the evacuation process, which is currently ongoing.
Thank you so much, Richmond, for your time here on JoyNews Prime. Away from that, the Education Ministry is taking swift action against a viral claim alleging that getting placed into a Brig Girls Senior High School cost a whopping 15,000 Ghana cedis. Working closely with national security, the ministry launched a probe into the false allegations, emphasizing that the computerized school placement system is absolutely free. In a statement signed by the Deputy Sector Minister, Clement Akpak, the ministry dismissed the viral claim as a narrative aimed at undermining the system's credibility. But similar allegations surfaced as far back as 2021, prompting a police CID investigation, and 6 recommendations were made to prevent reoccurrence. Now, that's coming up on your screens right now as we look at some of the key recommendations made as far back as 2021. 1, independent monitoring, and that they are also proposing that you report directly to the minister. Another key concern they raised after the investigation was that there ought to be an audit system before archiving the data. So this is one of the recommendations they made. Then you must ensure strict transparency. Another key recommendation they made through the process. They wanted it to be transparent to read the system of some of these bad nuts. Now, they state that officials with access must follow compliance rules, and parents ought to be educated as well as students on placement criteria, and they should also follow up on that bribery case with the police. Well, that recommendation was made as far back as 2021. Well, in 2025, and this issue has sprung up again. But let's get more on this. Joining me now is the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Mohammed Hashmin. We appreciate your time here on JoyNews Prime. I just want to start with a key understanding. The computerized system has faced credibility challenges before. And we're just seeing that as far back as 2021, that CID investigation that was made, they made a lot of recommendations. And now we're back here again. Why are these allegations recurring? Hashmin, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Thank you very much. Well, I am not aware of any investigative report. At least that hasn't come to my attention yet. However, granted that such a report do exist, the Ministry of Education has taken steps to ensure that this year's DEC computerized school placement system is carried out in a manner that is very, very credible. And even prior to the start of the placement itself, we roll out a campaign aimed at educating the general public that the placement is free, and if you encounter any ministry official or a third party demanding money from you need to report the incident to the Ghana Police Service or the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We have been running that campaign across some media outlets in Ghana. At the same time, the computerized placement system is on merit base, and the Minister for Education himself has, for the first time, has decided to stay away from the placement exercise itself. The minister do not have access to the login credentials of the computerized school placement system. His deputy, Honorable Dr. Apak, do not have access. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service himself do not have access. The ministry have allowed the Secretariat to operate independently. And issues with regards to the bribery itself are we have observed that many of it are allegations. And when those allegations are thrown into the public and we inquire, it becomes very, very difficult to ascertain those allegations. And like you rightly mentioned, yesterday, the Deputy Minister even issued a statement in connection with issues regarding allegations of bribery as far as the BEC placement is concerned. And we are calling on the general public, if you have any evidence that you have paid any money to any official, be it Ministry of Education official or a third party, we have rolled out hotlines to which you can reach us, and we'll be glad to engage you and then investigate the issues.
Thank you so much for your time here on JoyNews Prime. Away from that, the erstwhile Akufo-Addo administration has clashed with the World Bank over the roots of the country's 2022 economic collapse. The World Bank is clear. Ghana's woes aren't the fault of the Russia-Ukraine war, but rather homegrown issues stemming from deep-seated structural flaws, fiscal irresponsibility and mismanagement. But key members of the Akufo-Addo administration disagree. The former Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amwa, is questioning the World Bank's stance, citing alleged behind-doors admission about the global impact. Let's listen to him. We'll be right back.
Sure, the document might have said, apart from that, we have structural weaknesses and issues as a country. And that one is a fact. It's not just one routine. When it comes to economic resilience, most developing economies, including Ghana, fundamentally we have challenges because we depend on the economy. We are basically import-driven economy. So these things are there. We talk about an ineffective way, sometimes we manage our expenses as a country. These are issues that occur. I mean, it doesn't matter who is in government, the facts are there. So if the first 3 years of Akufo-Addo's government were growing 7%, one of the best in the world, inflation rate averagely has stayed about 7%, one of the best in the world. And then we have even picked, GDP growth in the year 2000, about, I think it was 3.4%. And we're rolling out one of the most enviable pro-poor policies sustainably in our country. Who could have thought that after the first term of Akufo-Addo's government, where there was market productivity impairment, people were even asked to stay home, they were paid. We're in this country. Private sector sank over 40,000. We had revenue shortfall of about between 11 and 12 billion. The world itself knew how we're suffering. Things were being brought from outside that were costing us $4,000, moved to $12,000. I used to import things for my farmers in this country. Some of the items that were costing me 1999 pounds, before God we serve, some of them were costing me 29.99, 10 pounds different. Conversion would have been that time around 200 Ghana cedis. So they can say whatever, if that is true. I think it's been taken out of context.
The World Bank report is on myjoyonline.com. You can go and read it. Away from that, the Food and Drug Authority has uncovered disturbing levels of dangerous chemicals in some food and cosmetic products sold on the market. A new nationwide report warns that everyday items, including turmeric, Tom Brown, and skin creams, could pose serious health risks. The FDA is rolling out emergency measures and warning the public to be cautious. There's more in the following report.
The Food and Drugs Authority says its latest nationwide survey has found worrying levels of harmful substance in foods and cosmetics sold on the Ghanaian market. The study, which covers all 16 regions, tested popular items like turmeric, Tom Brown, bentonite clay, locally known as ayolo, and skin lightening creams. Roderick Kwabena J is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Food Division at the FDA.
To our dismay, we found out that turmeric is a product people who want to lose weight are falling down on. So we use that as an indicator, as well as also cool cosmetic that ladies, guys may want to use under their eyes. Winnie mix, complementary food for babies. Normally when you wean them, they want to give this Tom Brown product. Then Shri, ayilo.
Right.
That also pregnant women, sometimes have a craving for. We're very much interested in things very important for children as well as women.
The report also found that some skin lightening creams and lotions were free from mercury in certain regions, showing that strict enforcement and proper regulation can make a difference. But the FDA says unbranded and unregistered products from the open market remain the biggest threat to public health.
We ensure that products that are brought for registration, they don't have heavy metals in them. As well as, let's say, cocoa products, because people use cocoa in many products out there. And so that also is one step that we have taken to be sure that heavy metals are not in them.
The FDA says reducing lead and other toxic substances in food and cosmetics require collective responsibility.
Food safety is everybody's business. And because you can't say you will not eat maize. And here, you could be getting maize from a place that has been irrigated with such water. You will not know.
Okay.
So all of us, people in the FDA, people in, it doesn't matter, in Joy FM, we are all prone to this. It is changing our ways that we need to look at.
Right.
Really, what is happening to us is something that I think we all really need to think our ways and reset our ways.
Let's head now to the Ashanti region. The Obuasi East Municipal Security Council is cracking down on illegal miners polluting the Jimiri River, a key water source in the gold mining town. Municipal Chief Executive Kofi Williams says rising pollution levels are threatening both the environment and mining operations. He adds that the council is teaming up with Anglo Gold Ashanti to launch a major swoop to clear the riverside of Galamsey operators. There's more in the following report.
The Jimmy River, flowing through Obuasi like many water resources in southern Ghana, is heavily polluted from illegal mining operations. The river, running through the Obuasi East municipality, has over the years served as the water source to communities along it. MC for Obuasi East, Ajowu Kofi Williams, shares plans by the local assembly to militate against the environmental menace.
So we've taken it upon ourselves as MC. The last time I met with the MISEC, we've put measures in place, and then we've actually budgeted, because the AGA has also been complaining that the water turbidity right now is very high. I'm talking about Jimmy River. So we've drawn a program of which they are given the KFS to make sure that KPI, to make sure that at least we need to go about all those indications and make sure that we embark on that particular operation. So we have decided that it's going to be in 2-3 phases. The first one, the AJ has agreed that he's going to share the cost with us, so that we're going to the riverside. All those who are working the illegal miners on the just by the river, just like what the president has said, that they don't want anybody to work in the water bodies. They don't want anybody to work in the forest. We need to comply with that. Hopefully by November, we should be able to embark on all those exercises to make sure that we do away with those who are working at the rivers, just to make sure that we have a clean water to drink, and also our forests are also not actually destroyed.
Let's shift our attention now to the education sector. Overcrowding is crippling learning at Tanosu AME Zion JHS, where some classrooms are packed with more than 70 students. A new classroom block that was meant to ease the pressure has stalled, forcing some classes to be held under trees. And as Sabit reports.
This is the reality of education for these children here at the Techiman Tanosu AME Zion Junior High School. On a sunny day like today, these outdoor classes are a necessity, not a choice. What you see here is one of the few classrooms built in the 1980s, now bursting at the seams with class sizes exceeding 70, more than double the approved number. Bright Donko Ebuaje is the headmaster here. The situation, according to him, is dire.
Actually, I've been in this school for a very long time, and looking at the state of the building, it was built in the 80s. And when you enter into the classroom, it's not conducive at all for learning, which the children are suffering. When it gets to the afternoon time, when the sun becomes scorchy, very difficult for teachers to enter and teach. So sometimes we move to the tree. So we have our lessons under the tree. So we have prepared a marker board, which we normally use.
Hope, however, arrived in the form of a new government project supported by the Australian government to construct new classroom blocks and finally provide adequate space.
When you look at our numbers, we have to have double stream, because in our educational system, we shouldn't engage children more than 35 in a room. But when you get to the room, we have some classes even more than 70. So it was very difficult for us to handle them. So I believe with this, it will help us to go very far, and the output will be very good and encouraging for the community.
But that hope has faded almost as quickly as the project began. A change in national government has led to a dramatic slowdown. The site, which should be a hive of activity, now stands silent and abandoned. Eric Akwaseje is a contractor in charge of this project.
Timing factor. Zaidumani delay. I ever Zaidumani scan a bar. Sana padi and Kaidumani mina between 6 months a year. But as I say, yeah, Zaidumano at travel ko 1 year ba unye. And the other about monitoring. Ni mina no skase. The others and kafans and ban tamadia.
The delay has prompted local leaders to appeal to the new administration, arguing that the education of children should transcend political cycles. Member of Parliament for Techiman South, Martin J. Mensah Kosa, is making a passionate appeal to the new government to fast-track the process.
When it's completed, it's going to create a very good, conducive environment for teaching and learning, and the source of funding is very viable. The only challenge is they speeding up their work. We are praying that as previous engagement with them has been done, they've given assurances that they are going to work around it and get the certificates cleared so that the money comes. So if they are watching us, we are begging them that these projects are badly needed to help these children to live and learn well. And I'm sure that they should be able to do that for us.
The foundation has been dug and the building has been erected, but the future of these students remains on shaky ground. The community here is watching and waiting, hoping that the promise made to their children won't become just another broken one. Anna Sabit, JoyNews, Tanosu.
You're still watching JoyNews Prime. We'll be back after this quick 10. Please stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us here on JoyNews Prime. To other stories now, the University of Professional Studies Accra has revised its dress code policy to strike a balance between professionalism and student expression. Vice-Chancellor Professor John Kweku Mensah Bawoto says the move reinforces UPSA's image as a premier professional training institution promoting discipline and professionalism on campus. Stephen Mensah reports.
On July 2, 2025, a number of students at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, were turned away from lectures by a task force over what authorities described as indecent dressing. The action followed earlier warnings by the institution that they will no longer tolerate inappropriate attire on campus. Addressing the first session of the 2024-2025 congregation, Vice-Chancellor Professor John Kweku Mensah Mauto announced that UPSA has formally revised its dress code.
I am very happy to announce that we have reviewed the dress code for our students. And thank God the students were involved. And they acknowledged that some of their colleagues were abusing our policy. And for that matter, in the next few weeks, we will churn out this code to ensure that our professionalism as a university is sustained.
Professor Mauto also disclosed that counseling services will be provided to students who breach the rules or struggle to adjust to policies.
Management has decided to ensure that we reform than to sanction. Therefore, some of the issues we face as management, virtually every sanction goes with counseling, such that our counseling directorate will counsel virtually everyone who is either rusticated or punished with even warnings.
Meanwhile, the university has also commissioned a quadrangle in honor of its former registrar, Oyo Enum Wright.
It's humbling, and I am grateful that the little that I did was recognized and has been acknowledged today.
The 2024-2025 congregation saw over 2,000 students graduate. The university leaders charged the graduates to leverage available resources to contribute meaningfully to national development. For JoyNews, Stephen Mensah.
Away from that, water remains a vital part of everyday life, with growing concerns over limited access to safe and sustainable drinking water. Stakeholders are urging stronger partnership and collective action to address the threats destroying water sources and limiting access to potable water facilities. The call came during the 40th anniversary celebration of Water Aid Ghana, and there's more in this following report.
The anniversary was not just an occasion for celebration, but a rallying point for action to safeguard Ghana's water resources, which continues to face mounting threats from human activities and climate change. Speaking at the ceremony, Country Director for Water Aid Ghana, Erabina Yani Akofo, called for locally collaborations to reduce dependency and draw accountability in enforcing sustainable water sources.
With all the decreasing financing available, how do we make sure that the next 40 years really bring strong transformation and really accelerate our work together to make sure that everyone everywhere has access to water, sanitation, and hygiene? We want to see more locally led collaboration. And in the midst of all the priorities, we know there's a lot of competing priorities, from blue energy to green energy to big push, resetting Ghana. We cannot do it without the power of water.
Head of Strategy, Policy and Campaigns at Water Aid Ghana, Ibrahim Musa outlined ongoing efforts among stakeholders to institutionalize a professional management approach linking communities and artisans to strengthen safe water delivery system in deprived areas.
Professionalized management approach means you are training communities and then link them to artisans who can readily be at hand to support them. But when the artisans come, communities on their own should mobilize some small funding to support the continuous maintenance and operations of the system. So moving from the community ownership, which we call the COM approach, to professionalized management approach, can be able to solve the sustainability challenges that we are having.
He further condemned the destructive impact of illegal mining on Ghana's water bodies, calling on traditional authorities and opinion leaders to back the government's efforts to protect these vital resources.
Thankfully, the government is doing what it can to to ensure that water bodies are not polluted. What we need to do is to support government to win the Galamsey war. But also important, the chiefs and opinion leaders, where there is heavy metals polluting water bodies, chiefs too should rise up and support government so that government can nip this Galamsey in the bud.
On his part, the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, assured communities struggling with water access that the ministry remains open to applications for waivers and approvals to ease their challenges.
If in your district you don't have a legacy project, you can apply to the minister that in my district I don't have outstanding debt that I want to pay. Based on that, I'm still appealing for a waiver to spend that money for legacy project on water. But you know your needs more than us.
Away from that, the governing NDC's resetting agenda is targeting stronger decentralization and local governance. Vice President Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman says government plans to increase allocations to the District Assembly's Common Fund, along other key reforms to empower assemblies to deliver on their core mandate. Mavi Sefa-Kote has the rest of the story.
The foyer of the Kempinski Hotel in Accra was packed as metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives gathered for a two-day national dialogue on decentralization and responsive governance on the theme, Resetting Decentralization for Responsive Local Governance and Effective Service Delivery. The dialogue was aimed at improving the work of MMDCEs at the grassroots. Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman highlighted reforms the NDC government has rolled out to deepen decentralization and deliver on its resetting agenda.
Our reset agenda in local governance is comprised but not limited to the following: increasing the local assembly common fund, which everybody agrees, moving towards the election of MMDCEs, supporting assemblies to increase their own source revenues, and leveraging those revenues for private capital and development.
Chairman of the Technical Committee of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, Professor Kwame Ahoy, urged government to create a dedicated budget line for MMDCEs within the 95% allocation of the District Assembly's Common Fund. He criticized what he called excessive political interference from central government in the work of the assemblies.
If we want our MPs to have resources to do monitoring or whatever, why don't we create a budget line for them out of the government's 95%? Why do we want to take a portion of that 5% also to give to MPs? The gentleman who raised the issues about the aberrations that occurred in the last government, that is a kind of political interference that we must all condemn. If what he's saying is true, how do you call MPs DCs and ask them to sign contracts that they think are unconscionable?
Time now for world news. And Interpol has arrested about 260 suspected cyber scammers in a major sting across 14 African countries. Funded by the UK, the operation targeted criminal networks using social media and digital platforms to defraud victims through romance scams and sextortion, where people are blackmailed with explicit imagery. Interpol's Director of Cybercrime explained that scammers quickly build trust with victims before shattering it to carry out their schemes. More than 1,400 victims were identified across Ghana, Kenya, Angola, and other countries, with losses estimated at nearly $2.8 million. And that's it for World News. Up next is Showbiz with Becky. And it's time for Showbiz. Becky Bex joins me in the studio. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Fosti. How you doing?
I'm good.
I think that it's a Friday. It's a good time to bring you excerpts or highlights from the Nkrumah Festival that happened at Nkrofo. I had, the likes of Sarkodie, Samini, Kenata, Keche, and a whole lot, artists gracing the stage, and we have all the highlights for you.
You wanna eat right there? I just wanna do it on the seat right there. But think it's a good idea. And I should give it to the look like, Now, Chapo, turn it Montana. Walk about the music and the camera one Ghana. Still, Chapo, my to the bandana. But what did they put out with the winner can't come? We're gonna get them up on my ball like soup dada. When you come up and they want to pump cover. So the tennis of the copy is swat shada. Who do not make us as swat cover? Never jam and I'm into my dog for penny. I love in the body there, they said we tell. So go back up to us, what to say. They shall have done it, never done it, to put bust my mind, she done bust my mind, just my time, just my time. I can't get that CTO, that's mine. Everybody in the building, 1, 2,
Well, for more on that particular highlight, you should go on myjoyonline.com. But first, let me tell you about the musical band series. This weekend, we have the Big Twins. They will be gracing our screens. They'll be telling us all about their journey in this industry. Here's what to expect from Big Twins.
The band that is stopping by for a conversation, Big Twins.
Big Twins started as a cultural group.
The journey is not easy, especially in Ghana. If we don't have money, I think it's not going to be well.
We need to turn back to our own.
So we want Ghanaians to come out and support
our own.
So that's what you should expect. It's on Joy News, 4 p.m. On Joy News.
This weekend?
This weekend, this Saturday, is also on Joy Prime as well, 4:30, same day. You should make a date with us. First, let me take you around town, things that you should be expecting tomorrow. When you go to the U.S., there's Dinah Hamilton there giving us a Comfort Plus experience with Dinah Hamilton. Is happening in Maryland. So for those of you who are inside Maryland in the U.S., if you have the visa, you can go tomorrow. If you don't, we can just, just stay here and experience something else in Kumasi because it's happening on the same day. When you go to Kumasi, we have a Rapaholic, the much anticipated Rapaholic. I know that our colleagues in Kumasi will be holding down the fort. They will be bringing us everything that we need to know about the Rapaholic Kumasi Homecoming Edition. Also, when you come down to Accra, Fosti, for those of you who are stage play lovers, Run for Your Wife play will be staged again tomorrow at the National Theatre. It's something that you should look forward to tomorrow. Yeah, so which one would you be attending, Fosti? I don't know.
I think Run for Your Wife.
Yeah,
but why for your wife? They're not from your wife.
Is it Run for Your?
Yes, it's Run for Your Wife.
Yeah,
why not run from your wife?
Oh, why not run from? Why should they run from their wives? What are you even talking about?
But if they are running, it should be a way. Hello?
Why are you run? Well, run for your wife. I don't know.
Let's see how it turns out.
Yeah, so,
I'll go and look at it.
Yeah, because that is in Accra. So for those of you in Accra, you can do that. Let's also not forget tomorrow is Awani's funeral. We'll be going there.
That's why I'm wearing black, actually.
Yeah. So for more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. It's been a fantastic week.
Yes, it is.
I truly appreciate my time here with you. Do you appreciate my time?
Yes, I do, Becky.
But why are you not telling me?
I appreciate
why are you
your
not
time.
even telling me that I look really nice? Like,
Becky,
I was
you look
hoping that
really
you
nice.
say something about my routine, but you're not saying anything. And
Becky is looking really nice, people. If we want to end the bulletin.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. We're so grateful for your time. I love life and I love Joy News, and I need you to love it too. Please, praise the Lord.
Becky, let's go.